This is the story of Air Algerie Flight 6289. Timing is key. Whether you're playing basketball or a song or out to meet someone at the mall, timing is key. Timing can also be the catalyst for a disaster. The phrase, wrong place, wrong time, has to have its roots in history. The story of Air Algerie Flight 6289 epitomizes the age-old adage of wrong place, wrong time. It was a Thursday, the 6th of March 2003. An old, aging 737 was on the ground at Tamanrasset on a 3-hour-long flight to Ghardia. The cockpit was missing a key member. The captain was late. The copilot was prepping the plane. She was joined by the chief flight attendant in the cockpit. With 97 passengers on board, the copilot would be the one flying today. The mood in the cockpit was cheery. They were too relaxed, and there was no talk about how they'd handle an emergency should one arise. The regulations of the airplane specified that they needed to do this. It was 2:01 p.m. in the evening, and the crew requested startup clearance from ATC. They eventually got on runway 02 and powered up the engines. They were ready to go. At 2:13 p.m. they started their takeoff roll, and the plane rolled down runway 02, gaining speed with each second that passed. The plane gracefully lifts into the sky, and the copilot calls for gear up. Just as they make the call out, a thump rocks the airplane. The plane veered left, and the copilot tells the tower, "We have a problem." The crew were suddenly forced into an emergency situation that demanded all their concentration and alertness. The plane continued to climb, and as it did, it slowly bled off its airspeed, slowly dropping from a high of 160 knots. The cockpit was in chaos. No callouts were made, no audible indications that they were trying to diagnose the problem. No callouts about the warnings before them. No callouts about the speed of the airplane. The copilot grunts as she tries to wrestle the plane back into her control. Then, without any reason, the captain steps in and takes control. The copilot did not ask for his help, nor did he make any of the required callouts for taking control of the aircraft. We don't know why he did what he did. Was it because he saw that the copilot was having issues controlling the airplane, or was it because he felt that as the captain it was his responsibility to fly the aircraft? We just don't know. He repeatedly tells the copilot to let go, to which she complies. The plane banks dangerously to the left. Not sure of what she's supposed to do anymore, she tells the captain that she's available to assist him. The sound of the stick shaker was heard on the CVR. A computerized warning that said, "Don't sink," echoed through the cockpit as the pilots struggled to get the plane to climb. And then silence. Flight 6289 had crashed. The plane had crashed near the runway, and the plane was engulfed in flames. Once they got the flames under control, only the burnt-out hull of the 737 remained. Investigators probably walked down the runway, following the flight path that Flight 6289 took. They found small fragments of the engine on the runway. It seems like not all of the airplane was at the crash site after all. The fragments came from deep within the left engine. The left engine had exploded on takeoff. That explained the plane banking to the left before the crash, but it doesn't explain why the plane crashed. The 737 and all major airliners are designed to climb out with just one engine. This exact scenario, the pilots even had charts that told them exactly what to do in this situation. When looking at the FDR for the crash, the investigators home in on the vertical speed of the aircraft. A few seconds after takeoff, the plane was climbing normally, 1,400 to 1,800 feet per second, and then the engine exploded. The airline's procedures directed them to climb with the gear retracted, maintaining V2 till safety altitude. The airline procedures asked the pilots to aim for 500 feet per second of positive rate and 12 degrees of pitch, but simulations showed that with the temperature on that day, the plane's weight, and the altitude of the airport, maintaining a positive rate of climb would be hard, but not impossible. The captain's decision to take control of the flight was scrutinized as well. He took over control of the plane with very little idea as to what was happening. He was out of the loop, so to say. The captain immediately put the plane into a pitch angle that was incompatible with a one-engine climb-out. The investigators found that the explosion came at the worst possible time. The pilots were just about to retract the landing gear. In the chaos that followed the explosion, the crew more or less forgot about the landing gear. The plane's aerodynamic performance subsequently deteriorated rapidly, especially as a result of the non-retraction of the gear, which added to the effect of maintaining a high-pitch attitude. The crew had accidentally put the plane into a dangerous position, a position that no pilot wants to be in. The environmental factors, like that of the airport's altitude, did not make things any easier for the pilots. A fact that became apparent upon listening to the CVR. The crew were not working as a team. The co-pilot never asked for help, and the captain wrestled control away from her. They just weren't communicating. There were no call-outs. There were no calls to watch their altitude. It was most likely that both pilots had vastly different ideas about the situation that they were in. In an emergency situation like this, crews need to work together. Anything less than that will lead to errors creeping in. But what led the left engine to so catastrophically fail in the first place? The investigators find that a high-pressure turbine in the left engine failed, thereby causing the whole engine to explode. This crash is an example of what horrible timing can do in an emergency situation. The explosion happened right as they were about to retract the landing gear. Had they retracted the landing gear, the plane would have been more aerodynamic and would have climbed away. Had they had a little bit more altitude, they could have had more time to diagnose the issue and then work out a plan of attack. Had the explosion happened sooner, they'd still be on the runway, and they might have been able to perform a rejected takeoff. A difference of about 30 seconds meant the difference between life and death for 102 people on board Air Algerie 6289. Thank you for watching this episode of Mini Air Crash Investigation. If you like the videos that I make, do consider liking and subscribing. It really helps the channel grow.